Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Riri's Money. For those of you who don't know me, I am a cash stuffer and budgeter who is currently $50,000 in debt, or at least I started this journey $50,000 in debt. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what I've gone and done to consolidate my debt. Any kind of debt number can be really scary. I've seen people with bigger amounts of debt, not only talking about their debt, but also they've been able to pay it off. And I just thought, well, is there a faster way for me to do this? And one of the big things I've learned about trying to pay off your debt is definitely asking for help. I have been so fortunate to have married a person who has just been super helpful, and he's very good with money. He's a lot better with money than I am. Initially, I had started off with a company called LendDirect, which I had found through another company through Borrowwell. Borrowwell is really cool. This is not sponsored, by the way, but what I love about Borrowwell is that it allows me to look at my options completely. And one of the things that they did offer at the time was a loan through this company called LendDirect. And when I looked at LendDirect, I thought, okay, this is probably for me because the options line up with my circumstances. And so I decided to go ahead and request a loan from LendDirect for $4,000 so that I could consolidate my two smallest credit cards. So those are the Rogers MasterCard and the Neo MasterCard. And so once I received that money, I paid off the Neo MasterCard and the Rogers MasterCard with it. After talking to my partner, we thought, well, why should you pay interest on that? Why don't you put some money that he has saved up toward the loan so that I can pay it off interest-free? So I paid off all of the LendDirect, or most of the LendDirect. There's about $900 left on it, and that LendDirect payoff will be done in essentially installments over 10 pay periods. That should be gone by May or June, and then I just pay my husband back $200 every month. And I know not everyone has that option, but realizing how much money I would have lost in interest, I've already spent thousands of dollars in interest at this point, right? So for me to be able to consolidate those two loans is fantastic. And then I also put some of the money that was passed along to me by my husband toward my Visa credit card. And my Visa credit card is just an absolute mess. I desperately opened it when I was short money for tuition and books, put some of my tuition on there, and then I would try it. If I could, I'd pay the rest in cash, pay it off, and then do the whole thing all over again. I initially got into school on a scholarship, but between working 40 hours full-time and then going to school 40 hours full-time, I thought I could do it, but it turned out I couldn't. Having your life be a total wreck, you had a few debts in the family and whatnot. It feels like Jenga. You've got the tower up, and when things happen, that's, a brick coming out of the tower. And there are only so many bricks where like you can still stay standing, and then eventually the Jenga tower tips over. The part that's missing this block, I think I can make it work. And eventually it was in so much of a mess that it didn't. But we're going to clean this up. We're going to get this all fixed up. But I think the big thing about consolidating debt, a lot of people have misconceptions about it, right? And also the other part of it too is not everybody has access to that. I know there were also some places that have said have offered debt consolidation options. I decided not to go that route because I still firmly believe that I can do this without having to go that route. I do urge people to ensure that they're doing their own research if they have to consider debt consolidation options. There were some places I was looking at before I had talked with my husband that actually seemed really helpful and really useful. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's important for you to do your research and do what's best for you. I just had this current option available to me. And since then, I've been able to erase the amounts on 2 credit cards, and I won't have to pay interest, which is fantastic. Another thing I looked at was bankruptcy. Now, I'm actually not in a place where I need to declare bankruptcy, but I was just curious. Now, I'm not going to go through what I found because I want people to go out there and do the research themselves. I'm a big believer in doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions. But, some of the stuff had mentioned that, everyone's going to know about bankruptcy, right? When you declare it. And that's not always the case. That was one of the interesting things that I found out about that. But definitely when you're looking at your consolidation options or looking at ways to help yourself out of debt, make sure you're doing the research. I cannot stress that enough. One of the things I will say though is if you are trying to get yourself out of debt, do not, and I repeat, do not go to short-term lenders. It is, doing the line of work that I do, I've seen a lot of people who have been impacted by, Money Mart. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but a lot of people fall into that trap of, I need $20,000 post haste. You're supposed to hopefully pay them off right away because some of the interest rates on those are just ridiculous. If you're able to do like multiple streams of income, unfortunately, you have to take a second job, and that really shouldn't be the case. If things are that bad, you really shouldn't have to take a second job. But maybe that's where you go into looking at professional debt consolidation or even looking at bankruptcy. I wanted to stay away from the fast cash folks, from the Money Marts of the world. I really hope that people do too, because they just take absolute advantage of people who are already in a bad situation. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave this video at. If there are any topics you have questions about that you might think I might be able to answer from my perspective, I'm not the be all and end all in this. I am not a financial advisor. These are all just things I'm learning about as I go on my debt journey. But if you have any questions or ideas for a video that you'd like me to answer, feel free to hit me up in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.